here was a campaign fought fiercely by Orks and Chaos, with Mazzdrozz, the war boss of the Orc clan here, driven back into the jungle at the end of the last fight, not seen for a while. Now, as the Chaos forces move deeper into the jungle areas, they stumble across a promethium supply depot which has been abandoned. Is there something hiding here? Who knows?
Hello, and this is Tom from Blacktoad Studio, and here is 2,000 points of Orks. It is currently set up in a battalion detachment, so that gives me an additional 3 command points. So without further ado, let's pop in here and have a look what we have got. So HQs, we had to take 2 obviously. So we started with a war boss with a power claw and a big shooter, or custom shooter, sorry. Got a big mech with a custom mega blaster, and also there elite wise we've got a pain boy, because obviously they're not in the HQ slot now. So over here we have 3 troop choices, starting with number 1 here. We have a 30-man boys squad with a knob with a power claw and a slugger and 3 big shooters. And then over here we have exactly the same again, and just behind there, sort of mingling in a bit, we have a 20-man boys squad. This knob here has a standard chopper and slugger because I couldn't quite fit it in points wise. Moving over to some other slots here, so we have 3 mega armoured knobs, all with kill saws, nothing else, so that's 3 of them there. And then behind them we have a Morkanaut with custom force field. They're probably going to be riding in there, which is going to be interesting because it's a bit different to how it used to be. We also have 2 Death Dreads. They are obviously in one squadron to start with, but they do split up once they are on the board. So one is armed with 4 combat weapons, and the other one has the 2 combat weapons, a Scorcher and a rocket launcher. And to the right here, we have some killer cans, 2 rockets, 1 Grotzuka and a Scorcher. So hopefully they'll go and do some damage as well. Be interesting to see how they perform in the new rule set. So that's my 2,000 points at Orks, and we'll see you in the game.
This is Dom from Blacktoad Studios, and here's my 2,000 points of Chaos Space Marines. So starting over here, we've got a battalion detachment, which gives me 3 command points. We've got a sorcerer here and a flying demon prince there for my HQ element. And then we've got a squad of 5 Chaos Marines with a melter gun and a plasma pistol in Chaos Rhino with a havoc launcher. Exactly the same here. Here we've got a 10-man Chaos squad with a plasma pistol, a power sword on the champion, and 2 flamers as the specials. Over here we have got the Hellforge Sakaran with heavy bolter sponsons. So the Hellforge rule means that at the beginning of the movement phase, or the end of the movement phase, sorry, you roll as many dice as wounds you've inflicted previously, and on a 5 up, the regain wounds. So that's quite nice. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. We have got a Helldrake with Baleflamer here. Then over here we have got the Spear tip formation. We have got a squad of 10 Havocs here with 4 plasma guns and a combi plasma on the champion. We have got a Chaos Land Raider here. And over here we have got our Mauler Fiend with magma cutters, and in charge of them we've got another Chaos Sorcerer there. So that is my 2,000 points of Chaos. It's a nice selection. Here's a few things I haven't used before in 8th edition, so we're going to see how it goes in this fun-filled battle.
So as the word bearers forces come trundling forward into the Promethean relay, we see here there are no Orc forces currently visible. What are they going to blunder into? We'll soon find out as their positions are uncovered on the table. As you can see here, there are some markers representing where they are. So we'll now come back in a moment and see what's been put on the board. So as the word bearers stumble across some predetermined location in this area, War Boss Mazzdrozz here springs his trap, and an entire horde of boys has emerged from various foxholes and little locations all dotted over this area, and is now starting to charge towards the enemy. We'll now see what happens in turn 1. As the Orcs come into view for the word bearers forces, a massive artillery bombardment is called in by the word bearers. So we're going to roll for each of the Orc units on the table and see if they get hit on a 6-up. So this boy squad here.
Yes.
Oh, so it's D6 mortal wounds. So 4 are dead.
Yeah, well.
I'll come back to them in a second. So now the Death Dread Squadron.
No.
No. The War Boss.
Oh, Mazzdrozz.
Mr. Mazzdrozz, if he dies, it's not going to be too happy. The Pain Boy.
No.
No. This boy squad at the front.
No.
No. The Morkanaut.
Yes.
Oh, no. So
D6 mortal
this
wounds.
is mortal wounds.
4.
So 4 on him. Then the Big Mech.
Oh, sorry. 5.
5, no. And then the Kill Cans.
No.
No. The boy squad up here finally.
No.
No. So 2 sets of bombardments have rung true. We'll just do some casualty work up and come back to you. So as War Boss Mazzdrozz steals the initiative to force his way into the first round of battle, he charges all of his boys forward with a large scream heading towards the Chaos forces. So as you can see here, everything on the line has moved up, advancing as quickly as they can. Some not so far as others, but some have got into a good position. So we'll now move on to the shooting phase and see what happens. So in the first turn for Orc shooting, as all of the assault weapons come firing in, the Sicarian has lost a wound, along with the Land Raider over here losing 3. So not too bad. We'll now move on into the assault phase and see if any lucky assaults come off in the first turn, and to see if the Mazzdrozz can get mixed up with the Chaos boys. As this boys squad charged forward and smashed into the Havoc squad here, they managed to take out 5 of the squad there, leaving them in pretty good stead after winning that combat. However, they're locked in there. What happens next turn is anyone's guess. Over here, this squad of boys has charged into the Land Raider and consolidated also into the Rhino, only doing 1 wound, I think, to the Land Raider in the end.
Yeah.
And that's it. So nothing too special there. However, we'll see what happens if they back out or not, or deploy and see, an attack. So many options for them. What is going to happen? We'll now move on into Chaos, turn 1. So as the battle at the front line starts to heat up, the Chaos forces respond by moving forward in force. Over here we have this squad of Chaos Marines jump out and head towards this boy squad hiding under here, along with the Mauler Fiend. And in the middle here, there seems to be a general backing off on this boy squad in the middle, as a lot of squads have jumped out of transports ready to put a massive amount of fire into that squad in the middle. Probably going to burn out a lot of them, but judges the amount of flamers that are there. And lastly, over here, the squad has moved back out of combat to give the Sicarian and the Helldrake free rein on that boy squad there. Not looking too good either. So at the end of that movement phase, we'll now move on in to the shooting and psychic phases. So as the fire pours into the Orc lines, there's been a bit of a telling blow in a couple of the squads over here. A fair few have been knocked out there, whittling down the left-hand side of this particular Orc boy squad. And moving over here, this squad has been almost completely decimated. I have a doubt they're going to pass their leadership at the end of this round. So we'll now move on to the assault phase and see if those final 2 squads can be chipped off. So as the din of battles lowers slightly, as we see here, a lot of Orcs are dead. The Helldrake came in and pretty much finished off the remaining Orcs here. However, they did put up a pretty brave fight, taking it down to 2 wounds with the Power Claw really ripping into it. So we'll see what happens with that shortly. And over here, on this side of the table, there was a brutal fight with the Mauler Fiend here, with the Mauler Fiend and the Chaos squad here coming out on top, taking off a majority of the squad. Not a lot left in there, as you can see. However, they are still just about hanging in there. Moving over to the central battle, where a lot of assault happened here. The boys gave a good account of themselves by taking out one of the squads, but unfortunately not enough to counter the amount of attacks that came into them. So not leaving a lot in the middle there. So we'll now move on into Orcs turn 2 and see what happens. So at the start of the movement phase for the Orks over here, we have the 2 Death Dreads moving up. The one on the right here has advanced, but he is near enough Mazzdrozz to get an assault off this turn. Over here, the Morkanaut has pushed up the middle of the field. Liking the look of that Demon Prince, probably going to use a claw on him, I reckon, and sort of take its head off, maybe? We'll see. He's looking quite bloodthirsty. And over here, the Orks have retreated. Not feeling too confident about beating the Mauler Fiend. They decided that the kill cans behind can rush in and try and remove it from play. However, you never know, it might come back. So, at the end of that movement phase, we'll now shift on to shooting, as we have no psychic in this army, and we'll see if the Orks can maybe chip off a few wounds here and there. In turn 2 Orcs shooting, the Death Dreads here shot up with their assault weapons at the Helldrake and managed to take a further 2 wounds off it, so it is now flying on 1. And shifting over to this side of the board, over here, the Mauler Fiend, I don't think actually, did it take a wound in the end? It didn't take a wound in from the kill cans there, a bit inaccurate with their wild shooting as they trundled forward through this foliage down here. And finally the Morkanaut fired every single weapon at the Demon Prince and I think took 1 wound off in the end. And that is it. And over here, as the combat ends in the Orc phase, the Mauler Fiend has fallen in this area here to the kill cans and they have consolidated into this other Chaos Marine squad. Over here in the middle, the Demon Prince and the Morkanaut had a bit of a duke out. Unfortunately, the Demon Prince came out on top here, taking 4 wounds off the Morkanaut. And in the middle here, we ended up as 1 dead to the Orcs and 3 to the Chaos Marines, but no other casualties to leadership. And finally over here, as kind of expected, the Helldrake was plucked out the sky by a claw on this Death Dread, and now it is smouldering nearby. So that is the end of Orc turn 2. We'll now move on into Chaos turn 2 and see what happens. So some of the Chaos forces fell, some of them have returned to the battlefield. So this Mauler Fiend has returned on this side of the table and is coming towards this Death Dread here. Other squads here, like this Havoc squad here, have moved forward to threaten this Death Dread, and then another squad has returned to the field here, just coming in. It's a standard Chaos Marine squad moving towards the centre of the battlefield here. I think everything else has pretty much stayed still, bar this Sorcerer here and this squad of Chaos Marines here. So that's the movement done. Onto the shooting and psychic, and let's see what damage can be done. So as the shooting phase and the psychic phase wind down, over here the 2 sorcerers had a little bit of busyness going on here. So we had, I think, prescience onto here, and also prescience over to here, and also I think it was a warp time on to the Demon Prince there, which enabled him to move over there. Shooting wise, quite a lot of fire came into this Death Dread over here, and unfortunately he's down to 1 wound now, so he's not in good shape. Same with this one over here, which was taken down to 3. So we'll see if they can survive another round, but we'll have to see how the combat pans out. Moving over here, the Havoc launcher fired a salvo into here underneath this platform here and took out 3 more Orc boys. However, the hero of the day over here was the Morkanaut, who took lots of las cannons, bolt pistols, plasma pistols, everything, and only lost 1 wound, which was very lucky. So he's really just about hanging in there with 9 wounds left, with the Demon Prince sitting behind him. So that is the end of the shooting and psychic phase. We'll now move on into the Chaos assault phase in turn 2 and see what happens. Chaos turn 2 combat. Over here, there's a bit of a stalemate going on here. Unfortunately, the Mauler Fiend kind of drew up a few blanks on the wounding phase, and I got a couple of very lucky saves. So he is still standing. And over here, this Orc squad has been whittled down by another 1 because the troops here have managed to take out him in that particular combat. Moving into the central part here, the Morkanaut is feeling a little bit assailed, although somehow is managing to sit there on his 6 wounds at the moment after taking a couple of hits from the Demon Prince. He didn't manage to do too much back, taking 2 wounds off him. That is pretty much everything for this combat phase. So we're in a kind of an interesting phase at the moment where things are starting to lose hull points / wounds. We'll now move on into Orcs turn 3. Orcs turn 3 movement, and the cans here have moved towards the centre of the table, trying to lend assistance to the Morkanaut, who is pretty much surrounded on all sides. The Meganobs and Megalon have jumped out, ready to also charge into the Demon Prince if needed, or the squads to the left of them. And then over here, the war boss Mazzdrozz has decided to try and get into the fight over here and charged towards the enemy using advancing, so he can charge in a second due to his special rules. And also the Death Dread has made an advance towards the Mauler Fiend and the Havoc squad to see if he can rescue this Death Dread over here from a certain death in the next round of combat. So that is all the movement. We'll now move on into the shooting phase and see if Orcs have actually got anything they can shoot. So in that shooting phase in turn 3 for Orcs, 1 casualty was taken by the kill cans here, took out 1 Chaos Marine. Nowhere else on the board were any casualties, so that's that. We'll now move on into the assault phase. So as the sound of the kill swords dies down, the Demon Prince has fallen behind the Morkanaut over here, so freeing up a few units here to hopefully take on in the next phase. However, not so good news over this side. The Mauler Fiend, fresh back on the battlefield, managed to take out the slightly less wounded Death Dread, leaving the crippled one alone here. So combat next turn should see him dead. However, Mazzdrozz, who did get into combat, didn't manage to even swing and is now sitting a little bit in the open, so possibly going to be a primary target for a few weapons in a moment. So we'll now move on into Chaos turn 3. So as we enter turn 3 for Chaos, another band of reinforcements has turned back up. The Helldrake has turned back up again and has flown on behind the Killer Cans, along with the Demon Prince here, is also putting extra threat in this area. A few more bits of movement over this side as well, with the Rhino moving up. And again over this side of the table in the middle, a little movement around for those Chaos Marines there. Not much movement over this side of the board because I think everything's pretty much set on what they want to do. So we'll now move on into the Psychic and Shooting phase for Chaos. So during turn 3 Psychic phase, there was a small warp incident here as the Sorcerer in front of the Morkanaut decided to try and manifest the power. Unfortunately, he exploded his head and everyone around him managed to take wounds. So this Nob here took a wound, the Mega Nobs took 2. I think the squad here was taken out by, I think, 3. Yeah. The Land Raider took 2? Yeah. 2 as well. And everything else is okay. The Morkanaut is also now down to 1 wound after that as well, after taking 3 as well. So not a pretty picture in the middle there with that warp explosion. So we'll now move on to the shooting phase. So turn 3 shooting for Chaos, and a little bit of damage has been done in various locations. Over here, Warboss Mazzdrozz has fallen down. Unfortunately, the Pain Boy couldn't keep him alive. So he is now down and out for the moment in this particular battle. However, he may come back at a later stage. Over in the middle here, the Mega Nobs have taken quite a beating from various weaponry, including the Perils of the Warp, as you saw a minute ago. So they're down to 1 model left. Over here, the Helldrake flew in behind and managed to take off a couple of wounds from the kill cans in here. Other than that, there was a bit more firepower into the Morkanaut from various... So at the end of turn 3 Chaos Assault, down here a kill can has been taken away by the Helldrake, ripped up into the air and dropped from a great height, so no longer on the table. And over here the Morkanaut is somehow still alive after round of combat, has ploughed into his extremely large body, somehow sitting on 1 wound. Not even the Demon Prince could finish him off. And it also down here, this combat continues with another Marine dying and somehow the Orc boy, or the Orc Nob, standing tall and hitting 1 down. And amazingly over here, this fight is still going on from a very lucky save at the very end, somehow managing to save him. So the Death Dread still stands against the Mauler Fiend. That is the end of turn 3 for Chaos. We'll now move on into turn 4 for Orcs. So as we move into the end of the movement phase there, this pain boy has run across over here to see if he can help out in this particular area. Probably not much he can do. Also the kill saw mega knob, which is the only one remaining from the squad, has decided that the Land Raider deserves to be opened up. Whether he can achieve that particular victory remains to be seen. Other than that, everything else is pretty much going to stay in combat and try and fight. So we'll now move straight into the combat phase because there is no shooting, and let's see what happens. At the end of turn 4 for Orks in the combat phase, and over here we have lost yet another kill can. However, he did manage to take a couple of wounds off the Helldrake. Over here, again, the Morkanaut Asana managed to hold out, not really doing a lot of damage back to any of the units, unfortunately. However, on a side note, the knob down here managed to finish off the Chaos Marine, even though he got to attack second. So he's done pretty well for himself, and he's still somehow alive and managed to consolidate into that Rhino. Over here, the Maul of Fiend finally finished off the Death Dread, so he's now pounding his way towards the Pain Boy over there to see if he can finish him off, which I'm sure he will manage. So that's the end of turn 4 for Orks. We'll now move over to turn 4 for Chaos. So as Chaos move on the board, a few more reinforcements that yet again have turned up. A squad here and a squad here, and also the Sorcerer has come back on the board. So things are starting to tip towards the Chaos's favour. However, a little murmur of fear has gone in the ranks, and they have all backed away from the Morkanaut, realising that maybe combat isn't the way to go. A lot of bolt pistols have possibly aimed in this direction, or bolters, maybe more shots. We shall see what happens in the shooting phase shortly. Over here, the Maul of Fiend has moved forward a little bit more just to get towards the Pain Boy, and also the Sicaran turning over to turn its attention to the Morkanaut. That is the end of the movement phase. We'll now move on into the psychic and shooting phase for Chaos in turn 4. So sadly, in that particular shooting phase there, the amount of firepower aimed at the poor Morkanaut was too much for it to manage. So it is now gone. It didn't blow up sadly, which would be nice, but it would have dished out a few mortal wounds on its death, but no. Over there also the Pain Boy has gone down to 1 wound after taking a magma cutter to the face. That is everything in the, and the Sicaran shot over and also finished off the big mech. So he is gone as well. So not looking too good for the Orks now, with just some 2 kill cans and a Pain Boy left on the board. We'll now see what happens in the assault phase. So down here, the Pain Boy bravely fought the Maul of Fiend and managed to take 3 wounds off him and didn't suffer any himself somehow, which is extremely lucky. So he's just hanging in there. And over here, the kill cans have also done fairly well by not dying and not really doing much in return. So that is the end of Chaos turn 4. We'll now move on to Orks turn 5 and see what happens in the last turn. So turn 5 for Orks. We went straight to the assault phase as there was no other things to do, and the Pain Boy has fallen to the Maul of Fiend's crushing weight and unfortunately is no longer on the board. However, the 2 kill cans are still fighting on. If they can just hang on until the end of this turn, they may just about swing the game, but we shall see. So we'll now move on to Chaos turn 5. So in turn 5 for Chaos, the vultures are circling the kill cans. Everything here, as you can see, has all turned its attention towards this area. So we'll now move on into the psychic and shooting phases and see if anything is done. So down here in the shooting and psychic phases, warp speed was cast on this unit and the Maul of Fiend, sorry, warp time, and they have moved up further and then also shot their pistols in as per the pistol rules, and unfortunately didn't do any damage. So we'll now move into the final combat phase and see if they can take out these 2 kill cans with the immense force that is now arrayed against them. So as the dust settles on this battlefield, the kill can has managed to survive, and the criteria of their mission was to hold up the Chaos forces as long as possible. So as long as someone was left on the board, it meant a victory for the Orks. Because of the overwhelming odds, they've managed to somehow hang on. However, in all this battle, Mazzdrozz has obviously fallen. So will he be back or will he be dead? We shall see in the next mission on Planet Mazzdrozz in the Galeris system. So thank you for watching this particular battle report. This was our ongoing campaign in our Galeris system. We were continuing a mission that we did in previous 7th edition on a Planet Mazzdrozz, which is where an Orc and a Chaos campaign is currently being taken out. In the new rules, we played a mission called Meat Grinder, which obviously you can see was heavily modified to a standard game, and it resulted in a lot of Chaos forces coming back on throughout the game. The actual objective to win was to make sure at least one Orc unit was left on the table, which is what happened. So, Dom, how did you find that particular mission?
Really good fun. I think I just said to you, if it wasn't for my reserves, the Orcs would have definitely won. But
yes.
Once it got to, I think, turn 4, the Chaos Forces just pushed it and went in their favour dramatically. Unfortunately, though, the Kilcan won it.
Somehow the Kilcan managed to stay in there at the end, and I must admit, having the first time playing Orcs in 8th, I do feel the Walkers are actually quite good now, especially for just being roadblocks, let alone sort of doing damage. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy watching that. There's going to be more of these kind of games coming up. So we're trying to keep a kind of a narrative feel to some of these, to have an ongoing kind of story in our little system that we've come up with. So this is Tom and
Tom.
Thank you for watching, and please, if you loved this video or liked it or even remotely thought it was interesting, please give us a sub and give us a comment on what you thought was good and bad. See you all next time. Goodbye.